Sophie Pink here, and today we are going to do a collaboration video. I'm so grateful that a lot of people have joined in this collaboration video. I'm so pleased because there are a lot of you guys in this video. I won't be able to do one video. I might have to do 3 or 4. So that will be exciting. I'm looking forward to see what you guys have answered for me in my questions. And let's see who goes first. First one is Bug Realms, my big bro. Let's see what he has to say. Let's go.
Thank you, Princess Sophie Pink, for allowing me a spot on your YouTube channel. So Princess Sophie Pink has asked me a very important question. She has asked me if there are many differences between keeping stick insects and tarantulas, and if there is one I prefer over the other, and if so, why? Well, there's none that I prefer over the other in my collection. I love them all the same, but stick insects will always hold a good place in my heart as they were the first invertebrate to get me into the hobby. Well, there's actually quite a few differences between keeping tarantulas and keeping stick insects. So I've chosen 3 differences to share with you today in hopes that will help you answer your question. Difference number 1 is what they eat. So as you'll know, tarantulas like feeding on things like roaches, crickets, locusts, mealworms, the list goes on. And stick insects will only feed off plants, fresh plants such as bramble cuttings, privet cuttings, eucalyptus, and so on and so forth. Some species will only adapt to one specific food plant as well, so that's something you really have to do your research on when keeping them. Difference number 2 is how you keep them, the types of enclosure. So with tarantulas, you'll get fossorial tarantulas, terrestrial tarantulas, and arboreal tarantulas. They will be your 3 main basic setups for keeping your tarantula depending on species. Now, stick insects will always need an arboreal style enclosure, a tall one. This is because it needs to have the food plant in going up. They need to be able to hang upside down for a successful molt. Even those stick insects that lay low in the daytime and hide under bits of cork bark will still need an arboreal setup. Now, this kind of ties in with the 3rd difference, and that is molting. So as you'll know, a tarantula flips on its back and pushes its way out of its old molt, whereas a stick insect will always do this upside down. That's right, a stick insect will often hang from a branch or a mesh top to an enclosure, and they will hang upside down and they will molt downwards. This is why an arboreal setup is really important for them, because they need at least 3 times their height for a successful molt. I hope I answered your question well enough, Princess Sophie Pink, and I look forward to seeing you at future shows. Thanks for having me. Take care. Bye-bye.
Next up is... Whoa! This is a big spider. This must be Tom's Big Spiders. Let's go.
Hello all, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders. First off, thanks so much, Princess Sophie Pink, for having me on your channel. I truly appreciate it. Now let's get to your questions. First one, what are my thoughts on wild caught versus captive bred specimens? Well, I'm team captive bred the whole way. Now, when I got into the hobby back in the ancient time called the 90s, most of the species that we had available were wild caught specimens. You'd see them at the pet stores, you'd see them at all of the reptile expos. So my first 2 spiders I ever purchased were actually wild caught. Back then, there weren't as many people breeding them, so you didn't have them as readily available. However, fast forward to nowadays, a lot of people have figured out the tricks to breeding most of the species that are available on the market, and the majority of the ones we see now in the hobby are actually captive bred specimens. Now, I live in the United States, where unfortunately our captive breeding efforts aren't really enough to keep up with how many people over here are in the hobby, so we end up importing a lot of them for Europe. But again, those are usually captive bred specimens. Quite frankly, I feel like in this day and age, for the majority of these specimens, we shouldn't need to have wild caught ones. The only people that should be working with the wild caught ones are the ones that are trying to breed these to get them into the hobby so that we can have a sustainable population of captive bred specimens. Now, unfortunately, one of the darker sides of the hobby is the fact that all of these spiders have to come from somewhere. They don't just magically teleport into somebody's collection. So it means at some point or other people are going out and collecting breeding pairs from their natural habitats. And unfortunately, although this feeds the hobby and we get these beautiful spiders in our collections, it can also do damage to local populations of these animals. So I think captive bred is the way to go. We should be trying to avoid wild-caught specimens as much as possible. Now, does that mean if you have a wild-caught specimen in your collection, you're an evil person? Absolutely not. There are still some wild-caught ones out there. Recently, I bought an Aphonopelma simani that I'm pretty sure is probably wild-caught. I don't think this one was most likely bred and raised as a sling in someone's collection, but I try not to make a habit of it. I try to avoid those. Even here in the United States now, there's a huge discussion over the fact that Aphonopelma caucodes, which is a local species, a lot of these and Aphonopelma annex are being pulled out of their local habitats and sold into the hobby, and we're having a discussion about how that could impact local ecosystems around here. So overall, my short answer would be not a big fan of wild caught at this point, especially in my collection. I try to buy only captive bred, and I think the majority of people out there should be looking for captive bred slings, tarantulas, whatever it may be. Second question, do I have a favorite tarantula? Yes, I do. That would be my Grammostola pateri or Rosea, whichever one. The queen, we've had her since, I believe, 1996 when my wife and I first moved out. She's, so far, she's been with us through 2 apartments, 2 houses, 3 kids, and I think 7 or 8 dogs. So she's been with us a very long time. When I got her, she was a young adult, and I'm showing some pictures here as I'm talking, so you're not seeing me. And when I got her, she was a young adult, so she was already probably in the range of 8 to 10, maybe even 12 years old, because this is a slow-growing species. Well, obviously, it's been many, many years later, so she's likely pushing 30. Unfortunately, she had a molt about a year ago, and since then hasn't been eating really well, and I'm kind of worried this might be it for her, because she's an old lady now, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe she'll perk back up. But easily my favorite. That's the one that started it all off for me. That's one of my favorite. It's my favorite in my collection because of the sentimental value of the fact she's been around for so long. All right, so hopefully that answers your questions for you. Again, Princess Sophie Pink, thanks so much for having me.
Up next is PetRock N Roll. I can't do the sign. Don't do it.
Hey, Amy here from PetRock N Roll. Thank you so much, Princess Sophie Pink, for inviting me to join in on this collaboration. So your question to me was, have I always been interested in keeping inverts? Short answer to that is yes, I have. Even as a small child, I was always in the garden, turning over stones, looking to see what bugs and crustaceans I could find. Then I went to do a small animal care course and was very drawn to the reptile and invert room. Never really had a fear, just a huge fascination for them. And then as an adult, I got really into the hobby and started my own collection. So not only do I have inverts, but I also have reptiles, and I have a few furry animals too. So I'm a huge animal lover, no matter what it is. I find all animals absolutely adorable. And so yeah, that's just me. Any of my friends will tell you I am a huge animal lover no matter what it is. And from an invert point of view, they absolutely fascinate me, which I think is the main reason for why I have so many. Thank you so much. I hope that answered your question. Take care. Bye.
Up next will be the Spidercouple. Let's go.
Hey, Princess Sophie Pink.
Hi, Princess Sophie.
My name is Corbin.
I'm Amber.
And we are Spidercouple.
So we think that the best way to get somebody to like tarantulas and spiders is through education and exposure.
The more people understand about tarantulas and spiders, the less they're going to be afraid of them.
I think that it creates a better understanding of how beneficial they are and what good they do for the environment and for us, and with that comes enjoyment and liking of them.
By extension, you lose a lot of your fear of tarantulas and spiders in the process.
A lot of people think that spiders are scary looking, or they're creepy looking, or they're gonna just jump out and bite you and you're gonna die. That's not the case. So people usually think that
Later.
thank you.
Next up is, what's this? Looks like to be a hand. I only know one person that doesn't show his face but only shows his hand. This must be Exotics Layer! I'll see you guys in my next video with Exotics Layer. Thank you everyone who was in this video. They will be linked in the description if you want to subscribe to them. And I hope you guys like this. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe button, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye!